Hi, tonight we're going to have an unboxing and a first tasting of a 25-year-old Rip Van Winkle bourbon, otherwise known as Pappy, which is one of the most sought-after bourbons in the world. As you can see here, the bourbon comes in a wooden box, which is made from the barrels in which the bourbon was aged for 25 years. Now, the bourbon was barreled in 1989, which was actually 28 years ago, but the distillers took the bourbon out of the oak barrels and placed them in stainless steel in order to stop the maturation process and to keep the bourbon from over-aging. For those of you who know bourbon, and for those who don't, to be classified as a bourbon, you have to be at least 51% corn. The mash bill has to be at least 51% corn, and it has to be aged in a new charred oak barrel. Now, there's no time specification for the aging process, but to be a straight bourbon, you have to be aged for at least 2 years in a new charred oak barrel. And bourbons can only be made in the United States. And seeing this is the 4th of July, this is a homage to the only true American spirit, bourbon. Now, this is a very expensive product, so I don't want to jeopardize the bottle while I am making this video, so I will probably leave the camera view temporarily while I attend to the bottle. I want to show you the decanter in which it comes, the stopper, which looks like a light bulb when you first open the box. And then we're going to pour some of the bourbon into a glass, and we're going to taste it for the very first time live here on camera. Okay, so as I stated, the box actually was made from staves from the original oak barrels in which the bourbon was aged. You can see there's a nice little latch here. I'm going to open this, and we're going to open it up, and we can see inside the treasure. Let me get into the... There is a nice little statement here from the old Rip Van Winkle Distillery that explains everything about it. I'll go over that with you and read it to you in a second. But we remove the packaging, and here, ladies and gentlemen, is the 25-year-old Rip Van Winkle bourbon. You can see that stopper I told you looks kind of like a light bulb. The decanter is made by Glencairn. If I pronounced that wrong, I apologize to anyone in Scotland for mispronunciation. That's just how I always pronounced it. Or Glencairn, but they are they make great whiskey glasses. Let me set this down, and then we'll come back. So I'm actually going to read to you the statement here from the old Rip Van Winkle Distillery in Kentucky. There you go. This is a very special bottling of old Rip Van Winkle straight bourbon whiskey. This whiskey was distilled in the spring and fall of 1989 and bottled after 25 years of aging, the oldest barrels ever bottled from our old family distillery. Think about it, that was back when Ronald Reagan was president. The barrels were stored for years on the lower floors of the 1935 built metal-clad warehouses in Shively, Kentucky, which has helped to preserve the sweet, mellow notes of our family's wheated bourbon recipe. Oh, note there, so now bourbons, remember, have to be at least 51% corn. The other grains can be barley, rye, or wheat. Many bourbons use rye, which has a little bit more of a spicier flavor. The wheated bourbons, such as the Pappy, are a little bit softer, and so that's kind of a little bit of a difference in the taste profile. Back to the story here. These 11 barrels have gracefully aged each season over these 25 years here in Kentucky. In the fall of 2014, we moved this whiskey from its oak barrels into a stainless steel tank to halt the aging process and to preserve the elegant yet rich flavor profile we expect from our Van Winkle whiskeys. This limited edition is beautifully presented in a classically styled decanter, each engraved, individually numbered, and finished with a silver stopper. We are delighted to have partnered once again with our friends at Glencairn Crystal Studio to design this sophisticated decanter worthy of our whiskey. The wooden box was designed in collaboration with Heritage Handcrafted, experts in the repurposing of used bourbon barrels. The lid was fabricated using the oak staves from the 11 barrels that held this whiskey. We hope you enjoy this fine bourbon whiskey. Signed, Julian P. Van Winkle III, the president. And there were 710 bottles. That's it, in the entire world of this stuff. And this one is bottle number 409. There you go. Out of 710. So, who's ready to open the bottle and have a drink? Okay, so now I have taken the decanter and the stopper out of the box. And here you can see the stopper. As I said, it looks kind of like a light bulb, but anyway. And here is the bottle. I've actually pre-torn some of the wrapping so that I can easily get it off and not have to fumble on camera for a while, but that comes off of there. And then now you can see this very beautiful Glencairn decanter. Let's see if I can get some of this writing. The writing doesn't show up all that great. I guess it's etched, probably laser etched into the glass. But you can see the old Rip Van Winkle here in the center. This bourbon is bottled at 100 proof or 50% alcohol. And it's 750 milliliters, so it's basically a fifth of what I hope to be the best tasting bourbon in the world. I've had the 23-year-old and the 20-year-old Pappies. The 20, I think, was amazing. The 23 was amazing. So I can only imagine what this is going to taste like. We just hope we don't get too much oak in it. That's one of the concerns when you get a bourbon aged this long. But hey, I trust these guys at Old Rip Van Winkle. They've been making good bourbons for a long time. The master distiller took this out of the oak and put it in stainless steel, at which time he thought it was the perfect bourbon. So we'll see if it turns out to be so. Okay, so here is the decanter, and we're going to remove the cork, and you can immediately feel that it's a very heavy cork. There's metal attached to the cork. I don't want to lose any of this precious nectar there. I'm going to take a sniff first. You get the sweet caramel notes, some vanilla. Makes me want to drink. This kind of goes without saying, but a bourbon of this quality, a bourbon of this expense, should only be drunk neat. I would not put any Coke or ginger ale. I wouldn't even put water or an ice cube in it. This, is an exceptional masterpiece of distilling here, and it should not be adulterated by anything whatsoever. So once again, a bourbon of this quality should only be drunk neat, which means with nothing else. It would be blasphemy or heresy, I think, to add anything to this bourbon. So now we have a Glencairn glass, which is what I always used to taste my bourbons. It's got that shape, so that brings, the nose up very well, so you get those first scents, and then you can see the color very well, and then you get that rich flavor. The glass has been designed for that purpose. It's used in a lot of whiskey tasting, not just bourbon. Actually, it's designed in Scotland, so I imagine it was originally made for tasting Scotch. But it really is a good. It's not just for whiskey even. I mean, I've used it to taste rums, cognacs, tequilas. So it's really just a good glass for getting the full flavor and aromas out of the liquor that you're drinking. So now I've put the stopper into the bottle, and as you can see, now it's a very beautiful decanter. And what we're going to do is take off the stopper. And I really need to switch hands because I'm right-handed. And we're going to pour some of the 25-year-old Rip Van Winkle bourbon, the first ever 25-year-old expression of what is commonly called Pappy, into a Glencairn glass. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to make a big deal about this because it's not I'm not trying to be tacky or anything of that nature, but since I'm putting this YouTube on video and there will be people watching from who knows where, and they're going to probably want to know, this bottle was about $1,800 from the Virginia ABC store. Now that's retail. I can tell you right now, I haven't seen it yet on the internet because I just got this bottle, but I do expect within a few months, this bottle is going to be exceedingly expensive on the internet once everyone has purchased the 710 bottles. So bottom line, what I'm trying to say here is this little shot of 25-year-old Rip Van Winkle whiskey is very, very precious. I anticipate keeping this bottle for several years. I have a bottle of Louis XIII cognac that my wife gave me for my 50th birthday. I'm now 52, and I've only finished about half of it. So these very, very special, expensive liquors you keep around for a long time. We'll only drink this on special occasions. But seeing it as it is the 4th of July, I like to make a toast to all of our servicemen who are fighting to keep America safe and free. God bless the USA. God bless the men and women in uniform who are keeping us safe. And God bless President Donald Trump. Okay, so this is the moment that we've all been waiting for. Here is our 25-year-old Rip Van Winkle bourbon, straight out of Kentucky. And we're going to taste it. Well, first we're going to smell it. Again, kind of like when we smelled the cork, it's got vanilla and caramel. Kind of sweet on the nose. If you look at the color, get this up close here, it's kind of got a sort of a dark brown, amber, maybe auburnish type color. The body, it's about medium body. There's a few legs there on the glass. But it's all about the taste. So, again, the thing that we're really looking for here is to make sure that this is not over oaked. That's been the concern that I've had from the beginning about a 25-year-old bourbon. And expect to taste the oak. I can't imagine we can escape the oak, but as long as it's balanced, then it should be good. Here goes. Cheers. It's got a very good mouthfeel. There is definitely a little bit of heat to it. I mean, it's 100 proof, so there's a little moderate heat. There's definitely the oak is there. Again, I didn't think that we'd be able to escape the oak, but it's well balanced. There's a spiciness at the end. There's some toffee notes, and it's pretty smooth. So, did it live up to its expectations? You know, it's interesting when you read whiskey reviews. I find one thing that's funny is when people say that whiskeys taste like tobacco or leather, neither of which I would imagine would be great tastes. But I guess, if you chew tobacco or you chew leather, then maybe you appreciate that. I don't know what those two things really taste like, because I don't chew tobacco and I don't chew leather. But I was looking at previously some reviews of the younger versions of Pappy, and I noticed a few people mention that in their tasting notes. I generally taste things like the sweet flavors like the caramel and the vanilla and the toffee. Sometimes in some bourbons I'll taste dried fruits and so forth. The spiciness of bourbons that have rye as in the mash bill, and then the smoothness that tends to come from the wheated bourbons and so forth. Here in the 25-year-old Pappy, I certainly do taste the classic vanilla caramel notes that come from and flavors that come from a lot of bourbons. I definitely taste the oak. It again is there, but it's not a bad thing. It tells you basically it's a super aged bourbon. But it's definitely balanced. The wheat smooths things out. The little sweetness of that toffee kind of caramel flavor. The caramel is definitely prominent, and that's probably the single biggest flavor that I do taste here. I don't think this is an overly sweet bourbon, which is a good thing. You don't want could this be an after dinner drink? Absolutely. Could it be a before dinner drink? Absolutely. Would you drink it, standing around at a party? No, because it's too expensive to do so. But on a special occasion, if you're sitting down and relaxing, trying to enjoy, an excellent time in your life, or a special occasion, then absolutely, it's a great drink. It's very easy to drink. It is 100 proof, so there is some heat in it, but it's not like the barrel strength bourbons, which I have a bottle of William LaRue Weller, which is exquisite, but it comes in at 141 proof, I believe, and I have a bottle of George T. Stagg that comes in about 144 proof. I mean, those are extremely hot. But this, this is very smooth. Pappy is a very drinkable bourbon. Now, when it comes down to the final line of my review, the two questions are, was it a good bourbon? And I mean, there's no question about it. It's an exceptional bourbon. I didn't expect anything from Old Rip Van Winkle to not be exceptional. And it lives up to the reputation of the distillery. The 25-year-old Rip Van Winkle Pappy is everything that I expected it to be. It's a fantastic bourbon. The second question is always going to be, is it worth the price? And even at Virginia ABC store prices, I'm not so sure about that, because you can get yourself a bottle of the William Henry Weller, which is, I think, better and less expensive. But certainly by the time this bourbon makes it to the internet and the prices skyrocket into the stratosphere, I would not think that this bottle would be worth the price. I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity because there were only 10 bottles in the entire state of Virginia available for sale through the ABC stores. And a good friend of mine, Miss Pam, hi Miss Pam if you're watching, and Andy, her husband, won the lottery and transferred that right or ability to me to be able to purchase this at retail prices. So again, it's a very, very, very good bourbon. The 25-year-old Rip Van Winkle Pappy is an exceptional bourbon and is a great liquor to drink for special occasions. But in the end, it is probably not worth the price that you're going to pay for it. So if someone will give you a glass, take it and thank them graciously. But if you have to shell out your own money for this, spend it on something else. Again, the William Henry Weller, if you get a bottle of that from the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, I recommend that over the Pappy. But again, this was a marvelous, marvelous bourbon, and I am going to finish my glass here. And cheers, everyone. Liquid gold. Thanks for watching. This was the first ever unboxing video that I've ever done. This is also the first ever live on YouTube tasting of a bourbon, for me anyway. And as far as I can tell thus far, maybe the first posting ever of the 25-year-old Rip Van Winkle. So thanks for watching.